Patrick, hit us with some stats, won't you?
The Trust was released on March 13th, 2016 at South by Southwest. It's a really weird coincidence that Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent was released on the exact same weekend at South by Southwest as The Trust, but 6 years later. And then they were both released wide like a month later in April. Mm-hmm. Kind of a weird coincidence. We've had a lot of those weird coincidences. I guess, South by Southwest is a place to release indie movies, so I guess it makes sense. But at the same time, it's like, wow, what a weird coincidence. 2 in a row. Had a budget of estimated, okay? That's all I could find online was estimated $9 million. And it made $321,650.
Ooh, ouch. Well, I'm sure they made more money back at the tables.
Yeah, so this was I guess it was like supposed to be an exclusive for DirecTV.
Really?
So it was released there and then released in theaters. So
okay. So maybe DirecTV financed it or something, and they didn't have to.
Yeah,
that's probably what.
I don't.
That's what I hope happened.
I don't know exactly what happened there, but it seemed like it was a very like limited release, as we've seen with these Nick Cage kind of direct-to-video movies. Their budgets and their gross are kind of hard to figure out because, like, was it actually like, did it actually do well? But it was just because it went to a platform of some sort, direct, and everybody watched it there, and then didn't go to the theater. Or was it only released in a couple theaters just because they kind of feel like they have to? I don't know. Anyways, 300.
Maybe they wanted that Oscar buzz, so they had to release it in the
maybe.
theater.
I don't know. This movie, it was way more enjoyable than I expected. Very simple. I wouldn't say it's Oscar worthy or anything like that.
No.
But it is it's a fun, like, quick movie, and it's very simple, straightforward.
It felt like, I don't know, like a long episode of Breaking Bad or something.
Yeah.
Like, just a cool episode of a good show.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that was the writers are like, what if we took an episode of Breaking Bad and turned it into a movie? Like, you just keep running into problems, and you have to keep figuring your way out of it.
Yeah.
And then,
and then eventually not be able to figure it out at the end.
Yeah.
Directed by Alex and Ben Brewer. This was their debut feature film, and so far is the only feature film that they've done. Which is not great. But, I mean, like I said, I think it was a pretty strong debut, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for what it was really, really good for what it was. Like, just kind of funny, overdramatic, buddy heist movie.
I love the relationship between Elijah Wood and
me too.
Nick Cage, man.
It
was such great chemistry.
It felt really natural. I can see why they worked together more after this.
I mean, that was as we said, the reason that Nick Cage ended up in Mandy, and I think Mom and Dad as well. I'm not sure about Mom and Dad if that's Spectrevision, but Elijah Wood's production company was casting for Mandy, and they Elijah Wood went to bat for Nick Cage and really, really wanted him to do it. And then same thing with Color Out of Space. Like, just really loved working with him, and I think on our Mandy episode we talked about that relationship where it's like Elijah Wood just really wanted to work with Nick Cage again, and really loved his approach during this movie. I was watching the behind the scenes, and Nick Cage just like is constantly like adding stuff and like coming up with ideas. And for some directors, I think it's kind of against what they want to do. But I think for young directors and first time directors, that's a godsend, because you have this, genius giving you extra stuff that you basically taking your script and making it way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they had done mostly music videos before this. They had worked with Skrillex, Diplo, and Justin Bieber.
That's funny. I saw a lot of Biebs in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's a MySpace pop star, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's probably how they ended up casting her, was they probably knew her from music.
From the Biebs?
From the Biebs, yeah. So they got connected. But Benjamin Brewer, one of the two brothers, was actually the lead visual effects artist on Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is getting a ton of buzz now.
Yeah. Good for him, man.
Yeah. For us, this is we're in July. When you see this, it'll be November, December, whatever.
2025.
In 2025. But it's currently out and is kind of getting all of the buzz right now. I feel like it's one of those movies that kind of started as like it was planned to be a small release, and the buzz has created a need for it to go wide. So it's getting a lot more play.
I think it hit like that early home digital release, and then it blew up, and I started seeing it show back up in theaters. So yeah, it's pretty interesting how that shit works. But good for him, man, that he's still working and cranking out some good shit.
I think they'll get another bite at the apple, especially after Benjamin Brewer having such a successful run here with Everything Everywhere All at Once. Hopefully they get another shot, because I really did enjoy this movie. I mean, it's sad that this movie doesn't really have a whole lot of I don't know. It's not in the zeitgeist at all.
I'd never heard of it.
I only heard of it because looking through Nick's IMDb, but that's it. Like, no fucking clue what it was about. I was like, oh, weird. That's a weird movie. Is that Elijah Wood with them in the in the photo?
That was the whole reason I picked to do it this season, was because we talked about it a bunch on the Mandy episode, and I think the Color Out of Space episode. I was looking through, I just did kind of a rabbit hole deep dive on a bunch of the other like 2015 to 2020 Nick Cage movies, and they like are just repeats of the same premise over and over and over again.
I was gonna say there's a theme there.
So this is refreshing. This is really nice to have right in here. We're gonna have to do those, but I'm hoping I can space them out a little bit, because
let's just rip the Band-Aid and do them all at once.
Let's just do 7 revenge
a whole season of it
in a row.
That's where we lose all of our fans. All 10 of you.
All 10 of you. Written by Ben Brewer and Adam Hirsch. And I looked, and this is the final thing on Adam Hirsch's IMDb page. Like, he's still alive, but this is the last thing he did. So he hasn't worked in a major capacity, it doesn't seem, for the last 6 years. So this might have ruined his career a little bit.
Or he became an executive at DirecTV.
He seems like he's I don't know. I just kind of dove into his Instagram, and he looks happy. So I don't know. What's going on.
Maybe he realized Hollywood's toxic, and he's like,
maybe.
Fuck this.
But he had done mostly shorts up to this point. I think this might have been his first feature. So he worked with Ben Brewer. So I don't know where the bulk of the writing went to. But this was shot by Sean Porter, who had also shot the Anton Yelchin movie Green Room from 2015, and also shot Green Book, coincidentally.
He likes the color green.
He loves the color green.
There's a lot of green in this film.
I really wonder if he ever asked Nick Vallelonga what it was like working on Deadfall.
He's like, what? I was never in a movie
what's
called
that
Deadfall.
movie?
What the fuck is that?
You wrote it with Christopher Coppola.
Who? What? No.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I've blacked out that entire period of my life. By the way, I did also a deep dive on Nick Vallelonga, and it's the guy who was in the pizza shop, the guy who runs the pizza shop, who's in love with the coffee girl. That was Nick Vallelonga in the movie.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah. So, he was in that. He was in that.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
Edited by Lauren Connolly, who has mostly worked on TV shows, but she worked on Children's Hospital. I don't know if you ever watched that at the Adult Swim
Fuck yeah, dude.
show. And then also worked on The Strain, which I feel like had a pretty big following for a minute. I don't know if
it was a cult. That was like a cult classic.
Yeah. I never saw it, but it seemed like it was pretty popular. And then Gaslit, which is a relatively new show. Music by Reza Safania. Reza Safania, who has done the music for P-Valley, which is kind of a popular, kind of divisive show right now. I don't know what platform it is on, but I've heard some things, but seems to be pretty popular.
P-Valley.
P-Valley. A few other TV shows, but mostly known for being a songwriter / producer who toured with Destiny's Child, Dr. Dre, and
What?
Britney Spears.
What?
So this
Wow.
is one of only a few films. I think this might be the only film.
What a weird
really
resume.
actually enjoyed the music in this movie a
Yeah, it
lot
was
too.
good. I'll talk more about it in the reviews, but I think between the way it was shot, acted, and the music added a lot of depth to the film that
Yeah.
I think if it hadn't been there, would have made this movie fucking unwatchable.
Rotten Tomatoes gave this a 63%, 5.5 out of 10 on 46 reviews, so not widely reviewed like some of the movies we've done.
Yeah.
Audience score, though, is a 29%, which is
Wow, really?
surprising to me. Like, I mean, maybe I'm watching this movie in a bubble, but like I really enjoyed it.
I wonder if it was marketed differently, like maybe set up as like an exciting heist movie or something, and then people watching are like, "What the fuck? This is
Yeah.
pretty slow." I guess I don't know.
I'll say
think-
even based off the description you gave us, Patrick, I still was not expecting this film to play out the way it did. So I could probably see people going in thinking, "Oh, Elijah Wood, Nicolas Cage, it's gonna be wacky and funny," and then it is, but it's not.
Yeah. Which I really appreciated. It was like,
Yeah, same.
yeah, it was goofy, but it was also really dark at the same time. I don't know. I liked it.
That could be it too. Like it doesn't have a nice ending, so
Yeah.
maybe it disappointed people.
but
Spoiler alert.
29% is really harsh.
I feel like that's harsh, yeah.
Metacritic 58%. I actually did some research finally, 7 episodes into this show. And I went through Metacritic's scoring because we've been trying to figure it out since we started without really, doing
Diving
a
into
deep
it.
dive at any point. So here goes. Metacritic scoring converts each review into a percentage, either mathematically from the mark given or what the site decides subjectively from a qualitative review. Before being averaged, the scores are weighted according to the critic's fame, stature, and volume of reviews. So this is like really subjective, this scoring methodology. They gave kind of a range of what these scores mean. So 81 to 100 is universal acclaim. Generally favorable reviews are 61 to 80, which we've had a lot of movies land in that range. Mixed or average reviews are 40 to 60, so that's what we're getting on this movie. Almost generally favorable. And then generally unfavorable is 20 to 39, and overwhelming dislike is 0 to 19. So it's an odd scoring system. Never would have guessed that that's how they did it. It was like, oh, this guy's really famous, so we're going to give him more more sway on the score.
I guess on paper that makes sense. So you're not just like giving everybody with a blog the same amount of footing, but it's like a really weird way to date or digitize reviews, Like, I don't know. It just seems like it's getting way too into the weeds.
It is, yeah. It's complicated as hell. But okay, I get it. I guess we'll keep doing Metacritic, but I feel like I trust it less now because it's all over the map as far as like the movies that we've done where there's been a movie that's like Rotten Tomatoes and the audience score and IMDb and everything else has said it was great, and then the Metacritic will be like 50, and you're like, why? What? So there was one famous guy who was like, screw this movie, I don't like it.
Yeah, and the other weird thing is they're pulling from the same pool of reviewers that like Rotten Tomatoes is. They're just the way their scoring system works is differently. So I don't know. I guess it's beneficial to show both, I guess, if you are the type of person who wants to view one over the other and knows how they work. So whatever.
Yeah, I guess.
Personally, I prefer the Rotten Tomatoes style because it just tells me the amount of people who approved of it, who liked it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think
and I think that's why most companies go based off of Rotten Tomato. Like I mean, you see it on everything. Like this is certified fresh stamp. Like Massive Weight was Massive Talent was like that. They had that on their physical copy that was stamped like that. And so it makes sense. I get it now. I get why most companies promote Rotten Tomato versus Metacritic or CinemaScore or some of those other company review sites out there.
It's kind of funny how some movie companies, like, they only go off of that like first week of reviews. So when they're promoting the movie, it's like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and there's like 9 reviews in.
There's like
at that point. Because like Massive Talent, I think, was 100% when they were first advertising it, and then it went down to like 86. So
it went from like 100 to 96 to like 92, and then I was like in the 80s,
which was the opposite on Pig, where it was like it started at like a 92, and then it went up from there, and it ended up being like 96 or something like that.
I thought he was gonna kill them guys that took his pig away. I can't give it 100.
I was so disappointed. IMDb gave it 5.4 out of 10, which I've said it many times, but I feel like that's usually the right score is IMDb, because it's like 100,000 people who watched it on home video or whatever, and then when they go to IMDb, that's the score that they're giving it. Which I feel like that one is the most. It's kind of the true mark of like the full audience as a whole, how they felt about it.
Yeah.
And then finally, Cinema Score A+ across the board. A++. No, it got no Cinema Score whatsoever.
That'd be fucking hilarious. It's only got two reviews, and it's Nick and Frodo.
I feel like the Cinema Score is like, it has to be like a fully wide release. There's no chance you're getting a Cinema Score if it's a small flick like this. Though I have seen it a couple times now. There was a couple movies where it was like the movie was very, very small, but it got a Cinema Score. So I don't know.
I think that's like back to Nigel's point, like trying to get Oscar.
Yeah, that's true.
Qualifications, like trying to qualify for the Oscars.
But like, it's got to be a death sentence releasing it wide, and then knowing that it's not going to get a big audience. Like, like who's going to see The Trust?
Then it still wins Best Picture, and you're like, how the fuck did that movie win? I've never even heard of it.